everyone. I have not seen you in a week, so I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I always say that I cannot wait to talk to you guys. It's coming truly from the heart, and I truly cannot wait to talk to you guys right now because I have been storing up so much information on my phone, and of course, making sure that I put it all down on notes and so that I'm able to go ahead and talk to you guys. Last week I actually had a death in the family, a second death in the family, very close. So a lot of things were going on around that time, and I was unfortunately unable to come and talk to you guys or bring a new video to you guys. So I'm here, and I'm so happy to be back. I was wondering how it would feel after missing a week, but I prayed on it and I'm ready to rock and roll. So let's go ahead and get ready to today's message. So today what we're going to be talking about is how to stay calm with anxiety. And I will be looking down on my notes because I have a few little topics or points, I should say, that I want to talk about on this particular topic. There are going to be two stories that I'm going to intertwine in this topic. So there's really going to be kind of like a part two-ish thing that I wanted really to just have its own thing, because I think that it's that powerful. I haven't experienced something like that before, but I definitely want to go ahead and share that experience that I recently had with you guys, because it was just very unexpected, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I always, wondered what people were talking about when they were talking about anxiety. I've gone through depression, obviously, but anxiety is a completely different thing on its own, and until I actually went through it. And so I want to be able to share that with you guys and allow it to have its own shine, right? So anyway, let's go ahead and get into a few points that I want to bring to today's topic, which is how to stay calm with anxiety. And the reason why I wanted to bring this to you is because there is a new hire, and she has been going through a few things. And when you're a new hire, it's very difficult to try to gather all of the information that is thrown at you, and it feels like you just thrown so much information, and hopefully something sticks right away that you can go ahead and take with you. But it definitely takes time, and so I completely understood where she was coming from, because at that moment when you are a new hire, you are thrown so much information that you're like, oh my goodness, you immediately become overwhelmed, and you're just really trying to figure everything out. And where do I go from here? How do I go ahead and process this in a computer? Like, you start questioning everything in your mind at that moment of like, can I do this? Am I really capable? Am I really able to keep all of this information in my mind? What if I ask too many questions? When can I ask a question? So many different questions come to mind at that moment when you're just overwhelmed by so much. And so this girl, she came to me. I had to train her when she first started, train her up a little bit on some things, especially because she was going to be working on my bed, and I needed to make sure, they wanted me to make sure that she understood, different things that go on in that bin. And so I helped her with that, and so we were just talking, and she was telling me about what she was going through in this being overwhelmed, and I told her about my situation, and I not too long ago got there before she did, and I was just telling her what I just finished telling you guys. And I'm happy that at that moment it did resonate with her, because these next few points are some of the points that I actually brought to her. I actually told her to hopefully help her, and hopefully it did help in some way to make her better, that she can keep with her and think about daily while she is continuously learning on this new journey. We try to rush our brain. It's already being rushed because we're trying to upload so much information all at once, so gather so much information all at once of what someone is actually telling us. We're trying to process it in our brains as fast as we possibly can, and sometimes it becomes overwhelming. It gets out of control because now we can't hold on to that information the way that we want to. I was telling her is that when you receive information, to go ahead and to get into the process of multitasking. But when you multitask, you gotta make sure that you're taking small pieces of things one by one. So you have to make sure that when you are given something, that you're able to go ahead and say, okay, this is what I'm working with. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to focus specifically on this one task that I need to take care of, and then go ahead and go into the next thing. And I was telling her that a lot of times what we do, and this is something that I did, a lot of times what we do is we try to take all of the information that we just received, and when we go into the bins and we pick up, what we need to go ahead and process the information appropriately on the computer, we began to look at all of the elements that is a part of that specific little piece of paper or whatever is in front of us, and we begin to try to take it all in at once. And we try to, get to a point where we're like, okay, we want it to happen so quickly, that we understand it so quickly. But a lot of times for everyone, that's not the case. Everybody is completely different in their processing and their thought processing. Everybody is completely different in how they take in information. Everyone is completely different in every aspect of life. And we have to make sure that the type of person that we are, we take that opportunity to go ahead and look at something and just focus on that one specific task, because that's what I had to do when I first few days of me starting. I had to look at a piece of paper that was in front of me, and I had to look at different key elements to help me to do my job correctly. And I had to get used to looking at those key elements, and it helped me to be able to move forward and doing such a great job that I'm doing now, because I decided to take one step at a time with my tasks. I decided to not take every task, take everything, take it all in at once, because when you do that, your brain immediately shuts down because it's not used to taking in all of that information at once. You're now trying to train your brain to do something in a new way that you have never done before. So a lot of times when we're getting ready to do something new that we haven't done before, that is maybe out of our element, we want it to naturally come to us immediately. Because if we're looking at somebody else and we're like, oh my gosh, it's coming to them so quickly, but you don't know how long they've been doing that. You don't know, like I said, everybody's ways of operating is completely different. They may get things at one time. They may have a photogenic memory. They may have, some type of, memory advantage that you don't have, and you may have to work a little bit harder. I know that's something that I had to do and I had to think about when I was in college, is that I was surrounded around people that were so much smarter than me. At least I thought they, in me looking at it, I was thinking, oh my gosh, these people are so much smarter than I am. And I went to school, I was in classes with a guy that had a photogenic memory. He can look at something, he literally told me that I can look at something one time and I already know what it is. I can, that picture, when tests come up, I have that entire picture in my mind, downloaded in my mind, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I had that. But see, I had to work a little bit extra hard. I had to make sure that I took the time out to study and to highlight key components in the books and in my notes to make sure that I was ready for the quizzes and the tests that came around, so that I can pass my tests and so that I can learn and understand what I was doing. I had to take those extra steps. And a lot of times what we want to do naturally, because we see other people doing, is that we want to be able to fall into their footsteps. Really, we want to fall right behind them. We want to be able to receive, and we want to be able to receive things the way that they receive them. We want to be able to have the capacity, the mental capacity to do things that they do the same way. But God didn't create us all to be the same. He created each and every one of us differently. We are all different. We are in the same body of Christ, yes. We, but we are all different. And so what my challenge was that I had to make sure that, me being a trainer, I had to not get upset or anything, and realize and understand that this girl is completely, she learns things differently. And I had to understand that. I had to realize that, and constantly tell my mind each and every time when I was working with her that she may not get it the way that I got it. And so I need to be a little bit more patient with her. And see, I love God because He puts us in these situations where we are always, I don't know if you guys have noticed this in your life, but every situation, isn't it like every situation that you've been in, there's always some form of patience that you have to go through? And so this was the patience that I had to go through. I had to learn how to be a trainer. I had to learn how to be patient and help someone. So I had to make sure I didn't get overwhelmed. I had to make sure that I was making my words clear, my sentences clear, in understanding in a way that she's able to understand what I'm saying and what I'm bringing to her, so that she can perform at a great level, so that she can be the best that she possibly can be. And just really giving her, when we go through anxiety, we are trying to stay calm or find a way where we can be calm. We find an outlet, or when we're going through anxiety, we're trying to look for something to calm us down. But sometimes in that moment, it's like things are just going by so fast that it's like your brain is just like going so fast that it's like uncontrollable. And then all of a sudden you're spiraling out of control in your mind, and it's just like a complete meltdown. And it's just like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Then you become jittery. Then you become like, it's just a snowball effect of emotions that take over in that situation, in that moment. And so me being able to, I have to make sure that she doesn't get overwhelmed. I'm trying to make sure that I don't get overwhelmed with now me having this responsibility of training her on my bend, and her being able to help me in the best way that she possibly can. So there were a lot of different things, the elements, components that came into play here. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is really compartmentalizing, being able to compartmentalize everything. So you have to make sure that you're staying focused and zone out everything else. So when you're working on a task or you're doing something, that you make sure that you are, I guess this is the part of ADHD that some people can go ahead and laser focus on that one particular thing. Because what happens is, especially in that situation, in that environment that we were in at work, or that we are in at work, in order to make sure that you process the information correctly that is right in front of you, you have to make sure that you kind of compartmentalize, that you take one task at hand at a time, and that you go ahead and you take care of that one thing. Don't worry about the next thing that's over here that you're trying to get to next. Don't worry about that. Just focus on what you have right in front of you, and that's what is most important. And I want to say this last thing is that just goes with life itself. Just focus on what is. I want to talk more about this later in a later session, but what you want to do is you want to focus on what is in front of you. Don't worry about what is surrounding you at that moment. Just go ahead and focus on what's at hand, what you need to worry about right in front of you. And then that will help you. And once you train your brain to just focus on one thing at a time, then you have less anxiety, then you have less worry, then you're less overwhelmed. Everything dials down because now you're training your brain. It's all about how you can train your brain really to not have a meltdown, and making sure that you have the best day, the best feeling, the best experience, the best everything. Like, you just want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself in the best way. And that's one of the ways, and everything calms down. Your mind calms down, you calm down, you feel more relaxed, feel more open and optimistic and encouraged, and you just feel so much better. So that's what I want to leave you guys with, is just to make sure that you stay calm and just listen to your body, listen to your mind. Take that time to sit back, because that's what I had to do when I felt like I was getting overwhelmed. I was just like, okay, let's sit back and try to figure this out. Because some things that I will look at on that piece of paper, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I cannot figure it out. What is going on? I think I need to ask somebody. And then I'm just like, Janelle, calm down, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, and everything is going to be completely fine. Just sit back, take a break. It's not, you don't have to rush. And a lot of times we're in this society where we feel like we have to rush everything in our lives, from work, from being successful, from having kids, having a family, from so much. We feel like we have to rush everything. But I am telling you, you do not have to rush. You don't have to worry about anything. Just take one step at a time. Sit back, relax, and look at what is in front of you. And because when you do that, you're not overthinking. You're not emotionally thinking, where you're allowing your emotions to take over. You are, just to basically hurry it up and get it out the way. You are taking that time to focus and understand what is going on right in front of you, so that you're able to do what you need to do the correct way, instead of trying to do everything all at once. So just relax, sit back, breathe, and everything will be completely fine. I promise you. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in, and I cannot wait to talk to you in the next session.